Hey, Danny. This is from Chris. Before my wife and I got married, I decided that I wanted to pay off my student loans and some small debts so as to not bring that into the relationship. Good idea. My biggest expense was rent, so I decided to downsize for a year. I left my townhouse in the city and instead rented a 10 by 10 shed in my buddy's backyard in the suburbs for $100 a month. Guys, this is where I actually filmed this show. Is from a shed. We are in a shed right now. So I can appreciate this is very low value to live in a shed, or maybe not. So he says, I rented a 10 by 10 shed in my buddy's backyard in the suburbs for $100 a month. I had a little space heater, an AC unit, a cot, and most importantly, I ran coax cable for internet. So it sounds like you got all the bare necessities covered. You don't really tell me where you go to the bathroom, but I don't need to know. My then fiance thought I had lost my mind, and even to this day, she still tells this story at parties about how much of a crazy person I am. The weird part is every woman at the party will look at me like I'm a deranged. Yeah, no shit. I got to be honest, it wasn't the most fun I've ever had. Walking across the yard while it's snowing to take a shit in the middle of the night kind of sucked. Okay, so that answers that question. But now that I have a home, a wife, and 2 boys, I find myself looking at those times with fondness. What is it about dudes where we can not only be content, but thrive with very little? All that to say, chicks suck, boys rule. Good luck on the show, my man. Thanks. Okay, so first off, chicks don't suck, and I would never say that on International Women's Day or during Women's History Month. 10 by 10 shed, that is a bit rough, but I will say that, you know, men are more likely to be inclined to do adventurous things. And it probably for you was just, I mean, men are just so much more utilitarian and just basic in that sense where they go, I just need a place. The purpose of this whole thing is to save money. I'm trying to save money. And like a lot of things, before you start them, you go, this might be scary. This might be uncomfortable. Especially if you've ever, maybe gone on a weird, vague trip or something, in some foreign land or whatever. And you think, this might be crazy. And then sometimes you do stuff that sucks. Very oftentimes, if you do something that at the moment you're like, this sucks so much, whatever that is, unless it's, something traumatic happens where you get physically assaulted or something, someone dies. Generally, you look back and you go, yeah, I do remember that sucking in the moment, but now that's kind of funny that I did that. And I had dengue fever. I was in Laos, and I went from Thailand, northern Thailand. I took a boat to Laos, and someone said chicks are sick. I agree. I went to, but anyways, yeah, went to Laos. I got dengue fever. It was the sickest I've ever been in my life. I was like a week. I couldn't get out of bed. It was in this like really small. It was in this really small town in northern Laos. The hospital was like an open air hospital. Like I went to the hospital. None of them spoke English. I went and they brought me to the hospital. I look up, I see the sky. I was like, oh, this is not good. Not good for how sick I am. You generally, if you're from the West, if you get sick somewhere that's like a lower standard of care, you get nervous, right? And I was. And then I'm Googling stuff and they're like, you can die from dengue fever. All this shit really sucked. But now I look back on it and I was like, yeah, that was pretty funny. Got dengue fever in fucking Laos and I almost died. All this stuff. But at the time, did not find it that funny. So anyways, I think that's maybe just a thing. I don't know if that's a guy thing. But again, at the end of the day, it's like you had everything you needed. You had, in terms of the Maslow, you had all the basic needs met other than you had to walk through the yard to go take a shit. And it wasn't a super long time. So that's what I'm going to go with that. I'm going to say that it was, guys are just a little more suited for that life.